Minnesota Vikings are being horribly disrespected. Minnesota scored an impressive 13-4 record, clinching the NFC North title for the first time since 2017, and was among the top 10 in the league in terms of total points and yards accumulated. However, the team's shortcomings were revealed starkly during their playoff game against the New York Giants, where they suffered a 7-point loss despite having an unbeaten record in close games. Under Kevin O'Connell's direction, quarterback Kirk Cousins clocked more passing yards than the previous year, but didn't show much improvement otherwise. The significant change was the new coach's emphasis on the passing game. The team responded well to this strategy, registering a positive passing rating for the first time since 2018. Justin Jefferson had a record-breaking year, leading the league with 128 catches for 1,809 yards, largely thanks to the renewed focus on passing the football. The Vikings tight end room also saw the addition of TJ Hawkinson, traded for a second-round pick who fits nicely into the high-volume role, averaging 52 yards per game. Dalvin Cook, however, had a relatively muted season, running for 1,173 yards and scoring 8 touchdowns. Yet, it marked Cook's fourth successive 1,000-yard season, an accomplishment only surpassed by Adrian Peterson and Robert Smith in the franchise's history. Dalvin Cook having a relatively quiet but still triumphant season, especially in this new high octane of an offense. The question really is, why is Minnesota trying to get rid of him? Dalvin Cook's contract, signed in 2020, mandates a pay of $11 million in 2023, with a cap hit of $14.1 million, which ranks him amongst the highest paid running backs. By the start of the 2023 season, Cook will be 28 years old, an age where many running backs see a massive decline in productivity. There were only three running backs aged 28 or older who ran more than 500 yards in the 2022 season: Latavius Murray, Raheem Mostert, and the king himself, Derrick Henry. There are, however, arguments for and against this whole situation. Cook had 2 of his career's longest runs in 2022, but also led the league in carries that did not result in yardage gains. In comparison, the younger and cheaper alternative, Alexander Mattison, has a higher yard after contact stat, but lacks Cook's explosiveness. With Madison's relatively low salary cap hits for the next 2 seasons, the question remains if the potentially slight drop in performance would be worth the financial savings. Minnesota, under Kevin O'Connell's leadership, seems to be leaning towards, of course, using Madison as an every down back, with the recent release of Dalvin Cook himself, similar to Dalvin Cook's role in the last season. This would make financial and strategic sense. And my whole thing personally, in regards to the running back position, this is definitely a position where you can literally relock and reload. So Minnesota fans, do not be crying over the release of Dalvin Cook. Before I mention the most impressive offensive piece that was added this offseason, go ahead and give us a like, just so we know that you like the content and we're doing a good job. As for the future, the 24th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft saw the Vikings recruit Jordan Addison, a promising wide receiver from the University of Southern California. He's an accomplished player, having started at the University of Pittsburgh with Kenny Pickett throwing him the football, where he then led the FBS in receiving touchdowns in 2021, winning the Biletnikoff Award for the nation's top wide receiver. His performances continued to impress after transferring to USC, where future number 1 pick Caleb Williams was his quarterback, earning him first-team All Pac-12 honors. With the likes of Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson commanding attention from the defenses, Addison could make a significant impact on the Vikings offense in year one. Although small in stature and didn't run the fastest 40-yard dash, Addison's route running skills are polished and consistent, making him a valuable addition to the team. Meanwhile, uncertainty looms over Kirk Cousins' future as his contract is due to expire soon. The Vikings opted to invest in another receiver instead of choosing a potential successor in the draft. Cousins' performance in the upcoming season could decide his fate with the team. And now it's time to discuss the best offseason addition that the Minnesota Vikings could have ever imagined, and that is hiring defensive coordinator Brian Flores. On the defensive front, coordinator Ed Donatel was dismissed following a disappointing season. An embarrassing season. A historically awful season, culminating in poor showing against the Giants. He was replaced by Brian Flores, the former Miami Dolphins head coach, who comes with a record of improving defenses. Despite these changes, it's not expected that the Vikings defense will transform overnight. Yet, with careful strategizing, they could start to approach league average performances, which coupled with their strong offensive lineup could make them a formidable contender in the NFC North. Let's briefly talk about the NFC North. Let's talk about the disrespect that the Vikings have been suffering through this offseason. All of a sudden, the two teams that didn't make the playoffs have this media edge on the Minnesota Vikings. All of a sudden, the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears have this shadow looming over the Vikings as if they're the team to beat. And I say no. The Minnesota Vikings still are the team that not only needs to be respected within the NFC North, but within the NFC entirely. No one can guard number 18 on the Minnesota Vikings. They've added an athletic tight end in TJ Hawkinson. This is year 2 under the Kevin O'Connell passing arsenal that was created last year. Everyone's looking to be more comfortable offensively, to where all you have to do is somewhat push into a positive direction on the defensive side of the ball, where Brian Flores comes in. Therefore, with those two combinations in mind, I do not see a world where the Detroit Lions nor the Chicago Bears, and if you believe in the Green Bay Packers being a contender in the NFC North, I can't help you. This is still the division of the Minnesota Vikings. This is their division to lose. You cannot just wipe away a 13-4 season and not hold that team to that same standard the next year. I am over the idea that the Detroit Lions, the Chicago Bears, nor the Green Bay Packers will be the team to beat for the NFC North in the 2023 season. Let that idea rush out of your mind now. And to wrap everything up, the Minnesota Vikings, despite a challenging start under O'Connell's leadership, have shown resilience and adaptability. With strategic tweaks to their gameplay, a focus on strengthening their offense, and sensible financial decisions, the team is poised to hold on to their NFC North title and improve their standing in the league in the upcoming season. So Minnesota fans, I hope you haven't jumped off the hype for the Minnesota Vikings. I hope you're still here waiting and anticipating a legitimate year come 2023 season. Keep your eyes open and be on the hunt, because the Minnesota Vikings aren't taking any prisoners. All headshots already. Like, comment, subscribe.